Today, Donald Trump traveled to Aurora, Colorado for a rally in which he did his three favorite things: fearmongered about immigrants, spread conspiracies, and made himself look like the moron he is. Yes, as we always say, Donald Trump is his own worst enemy because whenever he opens his mouth, it is bound to backfire. And that is exactly what we saw today in this rally that, might I point out, had a bit of a small crowd, which we'll see later. That's not the main point. I always love to bring it up, though, when it does, because Donald Trump is, of course, driven crazy by that fact that his rallies keep getting smaller and smaller, and we could see how crazed and upset he was, especially today, as he absolutely lost his mind, so much so he forgot really who he was running against in this election at the same time as he was forgetting how to speak. It was an absolute mess, and we're going to check it all out. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button and join the community that we are building on this channel. It really goes a long way. Now let's get into this first completely incoherent clip from Donald Trump.
And interestingly, when she came in, she was okay, pretty good. But then they heard her talking. They watched her brain in action. And when they saw the brain in action, they said, that's it. And here she is again.
This has been the attack, I guess, that he has been trying to land on Kamala Harris the most lately, talking about how she has, in his opinion, and no one else's, a low IQ and isn't a smart person. The complete projection from Donald Trump coming out. He is so incredibly insecure, and we see this with the things that he attacks her for, saying that she doesn't do any interviews with real journalists, when it's more so the case for him, trying to say that she's scared or not smart when these are only things that are true of Donald Trump. And so these attacks fall so flat, especially when he continues to be so strange out on the campaign trail. And he decided to employ another one of his favorite new talking points, which is incredibly off-putting to a certain demographic of voters. And you'll understand that when we check out this clip.
Your community will no longer live in fear. You will once again have a protector in the White House. I'm going to be a protector. You know, I said, I think we're doing very well with women. We're doing great in the polls. We're winning in all of the polls, just about. But somebody said, women love my policy, but they don't like me. I think they do like me. I'll tell you what. So they said, and I said a week ago, I said, I think women like me because I will be your protector, and I protected you for 4 years.
It just makes my skin crawl to hear him say that he's going to be the protector of women. And it's one of the biggest lies that he continues to tell, that he sees in polling how much women love him. I don't think that's the case, given both that you are the person most responsible in the world for attacking women's reproductive freedoms, and your history before you were president with women, which is so long that if we got into it, I think this video would run about a couple of days, so we're not going to. But just absolutely gross from Donald Trump. And again, this rally full of lies, as we can expect, and we continue to see those with a pretty stupid one right here.
Who has no clue what the hell is going on, I have to tell you. Did you see where she did a town hall yesterday and she used a teleprompter? I never saw a town. You don't use teleprompters. We don't use teleprompters, period, pretty much. You don't use them for town halls. Now,
he continues to do this bit where he says he doesn't need a teleprompter as he is reading off of a teleprompter. And he couldn't do these speeches without them. All they would be ramblings about Hannibal Lecter and windmills, or what he decided to start talking about now, which is liberation, which we see in this clip right here.
But to everyone here in Colorado and all across our nation, I make this pledge and vow to you: November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. It will be Liberation Day.
What are you liberating us from exactly? A booming economy? Gaining respect on the world stage, the protection of democracy? Is that what we'd be liberated from? No, I have a different idea. I think we should be liberated from you on November 5th when you are deleted and swept into the dustbin of history. I think that is all our preference for how the outcome of this election will go. And that, of course, is driving Donald Trump crazy. We talked about polling earlier, but the polling shows that Kamala Harris is beginning to pull away more and more in some of the most important swing states in this election, chief among them, Pennsylvania. And of course, that is driving Donald Trump crazy, but so crazy that he can't even remember he's running against Kamala Harris. And like I said earlier in this video, not only forgetting her, but forgetting how to speak in this clip right here.
And they're not stopping. They're not stopping. If this guy gets in, and if you got to get a new governor, by the way, but if he gets in again, runs next year, but actually, more importantly, I can't believe she gets it. I can't believe it.
He is completely incapable of putting together a sentence, and he kept saying he and if gets in, and he really couldn't put it together. But the he that he was referring to, clearly President Biden, and you can see him trying to turn that around and pretend that he's talking about Colorado's governor, Jared Polis, when in fact he is talking about President Biden because he forgot who he was running against. And just the melting down from Donald Trump continues. He is so incredibly out of it. He just exists in this different world, and that is incredibly clear with what he thinks he can do in this election right here.
And I gave you, not him, I didn't give anything. I gave you everything that they wanted. I gave you because I love this state. This state has to flip Republican. It has to.
I invite Donald Trump. I implore him to try to win the state of Colorado. Go for it. I think it's a great idea. Invest all your resources there. Invest them in California. You clearly think you could win that. New York, Illinois, go for it. Please. That would be great. We'd love to see it. Go ahead. Do your best. Do your best. Oh my gosh. Again, living in this alternate reality. And we can see that even more clearly with how upset Donald Trump was with Kamala Harris' 60 Minutes interview. And he made that pretty clear right here.
I can't believe she gets it. I can't believe it. By the way, did you see 60 Minutes? Her answer was so incompetent that CBS and 60 Minutes, a prestigious show, but I knew they were crooked as hell for years. They used to do the opposite to me. You know, to me, they used to cut my statement. To her, they added the statement on. This is a big difference. You want the guy that gets cut. They cut it because I made such great statements. I said, why did you cut that statement? Well, we just felt we had to do it for time. They cut the heart out of the statements. But for me, they cut the statements. For them, they added it on. So they took her entire...
All the man can do is lie and complain. And also, of course, we have to throw grifting in there if we're going to talk about the things that Donald Trump wants to focus on 30 days out from this election. Of course, attacking the media, attacking the truth, attacking Kamala Harris. But of course, he's got to get his grift on. And we've seen that with him selling shoes, selling watches, his hats, of course, and his Bibles, which recently there was a bit of new reporting on those Bibles and where they came from. And Tim Walz called that out right here.
Had wiped out more than half of the manufacturing jobs that had been created in the decade before he came in. He was asleep at the wheel while China seized the advantage. And now he says we should just let China dominate the auto industry. But it's no surprise, Trump's all talk when it comes being tough on China. Some of you heard this. We just found out his Trump-branded Bibles. Yeah, they're printed in China. This dude even outsourced God to China. So just so we know. Again, I'm going to try and be generous here. I don't blame him. He didn't notice the Made in China sticker because they put it inside a place he's never looked in the Bible.
So Mr. Tough on China is getting his Bibles from there. And I love that line from Tim Walz at the end. He didn't know that they were made in China because the sticker was on the inside. Tim Walz is just really crushing it out on the campaign trail. I feel like there's a little bit more oomph behind his message, a little bit more attack. And I like that. We need to be pushing back. We need to be calling out the lies like these right here.
Imported an army of illegal alien gang members and migrant criminals from the dungeons of the third world. They come from the dungeons, think of that, the dungeons of the third world, from prisons and jails, insane asylums, and mental institutions. And she has had them resettled beautifully into your community to prey upon innocent American citizens. That's what they're doing. And no.
The dungeons of the third world, this is where we've gotten to. This is the place that we're at with the fear-mongering, with the attacks on immigrants. Dungeons of the third world. He has his insane asylums, his mental institutions, places unknown, languages unknown, and now we're adding dungeons. This is an unwell person. This is not just a bad political candidate. This is not just a threat to democracy. This is an unwell person who needs help, and I think we should help him out. Get rid of him on November 5th, and we're going to keep talking about that every single day on this show, and if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments, or just say hello. I'd love to thank you for your support. And until next time, I'll see you soon.